G'day folks, and welcome to this report from the full campaign from Baptism by Fire. This is a daily report on scenario 5.1, the Kasserine Pass campaign. So I'm at the end of the first day. I thought I'd pause to recap what has happened throughout the day. Most of the action has been, in fact all of the action has been in the southeast corner of the map, as you can see here. We started, and I'll show you the activation order. I've been keeping track of this just so you can kind of follow along what's happening. Task Force Stark begins spent, so they don't do anything. We first start off with the Germans bringing in Kampfgruppe Gerhardt, and it was their job to clear this first road, drive the Combat Command A combat train back towards Spatler, secure Kern's Crossroads, which they did. Pretty successful in their engagements along this road. And yeah, forcing that train back, eliminating the first element of Combat Command A, and opening the road through for subsequent activations. Combat Command A then activated, and they'd been forced off the road. Actually, they failed their activation. So they failed their snafu roll. They couldn't do much. Not much going on with them. Then we brought on German Kampfgruppe Reinhardt, and they come on the same road and they drive towards Spatler. They captured Spatler fairly easily, clear road through, and stopped there. But they didn't. Well, their infantry, I think, had to actually move into the hex from memory because they're of that truck movement. They can move quite rapidly along the road, so they were able to capture Spatler, but they failed from memory their second activation. So we just had sort of infantry isolated out here and the Tigers en route along the road. Then Combat Command C activated and they came charging down that road. They launched a regular attack on Spatler here. They also, I think, secured a second activation. I don't think they should be in prepared defense. I don't know why that's there. But they also were able to launch some bombardments on the Tigers. There were quite a few die rolls for bombardment against destruction rolls against these Tigers. This is just a one-step unit. You need a 6 to hit it, but the Germans were holding their breath every time these dice rolled. So the Combat Command C got a nice attack on Spatler, forced automatic retreat. So there's a lot of that Kampfgruppe Rhein in this hex. They're still fresh, but as I said, they failed their second activation. And Combat Command C, I believe, did get a second activation, which is why these guys are in their deployed side. From there, the Germans start bringing in forces from the south. We started with, which Kampfgruppe started first? Actually, they started on the left here. So they came out from their deployment hex, out to the left, following these roads, not doing much, but moving out here. Then they got a second activation, and they drove towards City Buzid up here. And along this secondary road here, they're able to get there, capture it, force then the headquarters to retreat. They've got a coordination marker there, and clear out Combat Command A from this sort of hex. Final activation was this Kampfgruppe, which comes in a similar area, but they were deployed out to the far right. Some deployed infantry were able to force the American screen back a little bit, just to get them away from that road. And the rest of those forces pretty much came on and decided to link up with this secondary road out here. So they're all now drawing supplies from out along this road. And as you can see, down the bottom left-hand corner here, my plan for this Kampfgruppe around here is to drive out west along this road. It's really going to push their supply lines at a stretch, but they are trying to get behind this road out to the west along here. So this is where they're going to head, along this road towards Thelete and then up to Kasserine. I'm not sure about this Kampfgruppe. They are relatively small. Yeah, we'll think about those in just a moment. We don't need to hold City Buzid. We can keep moving forward in this scenario as long as we have some supply roads open. There are some Americans, as always, perilously close to this supply route, so maybe this Kampf group will clean up. They've got some reinforcements coming on, some infantry, and they'll be good for clearing up the remnants of those Americans while those two northern Kampf groups continue to push along the road. So look, the Americans have had a pretty good turn. I know it doesn't look great. They've lost Sidi Bouzid. They've lost two armoured formations. I'll just show you the casualties from the first turn. They're their casualties. So 1-step unit and then a 3-step unit were hounded by the Germans and chased to elimination. Infantry suffered 3 steps and the tank destroyers there suffered 1 step. So there's not much left of these guys. These guys, the infantry, stay in the hills for now. But despite that, Combat Command C doing very, very well out here. Full strength, haven't suffered a step loss, recaptured Spatler, keeping it out of German hands on that first turn, which is very important because it keeps their supply route open. And they activate. They got a second activation with, I believe, full snafu roll, full activation both times, compared to the Germans who couldn't get a second activation for many of their two northernmost Kampf groups. Certainly both failed those secondary activation rolls, which is frustrating. In terms of fatigue, the one downside, I guess, is Combat Command C did suffer an increased fatigue. The MSR, so they did all this with their MSR blocked because, their combat train couldn't form an MSR. MSR had to be removed during the second activation, comes back on, MSR block marker, it's now up here on that secondary road. So they've reformed that connection. It'll be okay from the next turn on. All because they managed to resecure Spatler. So, there we go. End of the first turn. Germans, would have liked to achieve a bit more. You can see this pocket of Combat Command A in here. They are trying to get the heck out of there. They're going to suffer because, again, they're not going to have... actually, maybe they will. They will have an MSR along these roads to here. We've got an interesting second turn coming up. And I'll report back on that as soon as I've played through that next day. Heading into now the turn 2, the 15th of February, 1943.